So because of which we are having two basis functions, phi1 of t and phi2 of t. And right after that, we'll represent signal S1 of t representing symbol 1 in terms of its orthonormal basis functions as like this. And over here we can see that the component for the other basis function phi2 is equal to 0 for signal S1 of t. Likewise, for signal S2 of t representing symbol 0, the component associated with phi1 of t will be equal to 0. So in this equation, coefficient value S12 will be equal to 0. And for signal S2 of t representing symbol 0, coefficient value S21 will be equal to 0. And after getting these 2 points, we can convert them into point form, and we can plot it the same on our constellation diagram in an n-dimensional Euclidean space. We can plot them and we can have this constellation diagram where our message point 1 M1 lies on phi1 axis and message point M2 lies on phi2 axis. And over here, they'll be associated with their own region, or we need to have a demarcation line in between, and we'll call that line as decision boundary, such that if our observed point is falling in region Z2, we can make an estimate that the transmitter had transmitted message point message M2, or if our observed point falls somewhere in this region that which is green colored, so we can make an estimate that the transmitter had transmitted message M1. So that's why this constellation diagram is important. And right after this constellation diagram, we were able to go through our probability of error. And before that, here we had a decision rule slide where we did got to know how exactly decision rule happens at the receiving end. So here we can think of our received signal x of t as in turn equal to, okay, over here, let x of t be the received signal, where x of t in turn can be thought of as transmitted signal plus noise component. And over here, we can, from this, we can extract elements phi1, x1, and x2 by integrating this product term over an interval of 0 to tb. So where we know the value for first basis function and second basis function, where first basis function is associated with frequency value f1, and second basis function is associated with frequency value f2. Now over here, the signal space is partitioned into two regions, region Z1 and region Z2. And over here, receiver decides in the favor of symbol 1 if the received signal falls in, if the received signal point X falls in the region Z1. And this happens in what case? It happens in the case when this X1 is greater than that of X2. Or if I move this X2 onto my left-hand side, I can also code this same decision rule representing region Z1 as X1 minus X2 should be greater than 0. So if this is the case, if the value of X1 is greater than X2, or the difference between X1 and X2, if it is greater than 0 or positive in nature, we can decide that message 1 had been transmitted by the transmitter. In a similar way, we can also estimate. So these two, based on these two decision rules, will make an estimate. And in a similar way, the receiver decides in the favor of symbol 0 if the received signal point X falls in the region Z2. And this happens only during the case where X1 is lesser than that of X2. So only when this X1 is lesser than X2, or here again, if I move this X2 onto my left-hand side, I can also quote the same decision rule. This is the same decision rule as X1 minus X2. And when this difference term is lesser than 0, or if it is negative in nature, if the answer is negative in nature, we'll have this value obviously lesser than 0, and we can make an estimate that symbol 0 had been transmitted, or message M2 had been transmitted by the transmitter. So this is about the decision rules. So only based on these two decision rules, the decoder works. So that was the thing, and we were about to start up with our probability of error concept. So this probability of error is important because only having an idea of this value, we can estimate performance of the receiver. So performance of the receiver can be evaluated by having an mathematical formulation for this probability of error. So because of which, let's try to go through this concept. So now let's define a new random variable, capital L. So over here, this capital L is a random variable whose sample value L. So here, this is random variable and I'm making use of small letter L. So this is not one. So this is small L over here. And I'll be calling this as sample value or sample function. So sample function or sample value of this random variable capital L is this small l is equal to the difference between x1 and x2. So why am I taking this difference between x1 and x2? Because of decision rule. So back in our previous slide, we had seen that. So these two are our decision rules where we are taking difference between x1 and x2 over here. And again, for symbol 0 also, we are taking the same difference between x1 and x2. If x1 and x2 a difference is positive, then estimate will be made to symbol 1. In a similar way, if this difference value, so all I'm speaking is of this difference value. If this difference value is negative in nature, we can make an estimate that symbol 0 was transmitted. So something like this. So because here we are having difference between x1 and x2, I'm trying to minimize the complication, or else I could have written x1 and x2 directly. But here, in order to simplify the concepts, we are assuming a sample function L that which is equal to the difference between x1 and x2. That's it. And I can also recode the decision rule as if L1 is greater than 0, then estimate will be equal to symbol 1. In a similar way, if L is lesser than 0, then the estimate M cap is equal to symbol 0, something like that. So this is our modified decision rule in terms of L. So all I'm trying to say is here we are just considering a new sample function of this random variable capital L as equal to x1 and x2 elements. Now over here, let's try to evaluate the mean values. Let's try to get the mean values. So given symbol 1, or symbol 1 is represented by signal S1 of t, was transmitted. So let's assume that transmitter is transmitting. So somewhere in between, we are here we are having channel in between transmitter and receiver stage. And we are assuming that transmitter is transmitting signal S1 of t. So right now, signal S1 of t has been transmitted. And over here, we can have, we can code this as, and when the signal x1 of t passes through the channel, when it passes through the channel, I'll be having something like received signal will be x of t. The received signal will be x of t. Now over here, we all know that this x of t is in signal form. And when I convert this into point form, when we convert this into point form, so right now this is in signal form. And when we convert this into point form, I'll be getting capital X point form. This is point form. And this X in turn will be containing, will be composed of two values, small x1 comma small x2. So it will be containing two more elements in it. Now over here, I can think of this x1 as a sample function of a random variable capital X1. Likewise, here x2 can be thought of as a sample function of random variable capital X2. So all I'm trying to do is apply estimate. Estimate and mean are, so this mean is nothing but statistical mean. So this expected value E is nothing but statistical mean. So over here, all we are trying to do is calculating expected value of x1 given symbol 1 was transmitted, something like this. We got to read this as expected value of x1 when, or I can also call it like spell it out as given symbol 1 was transmitted. Symbol 1 was transmitted. So over here, expected value of x1 given 1 can be thought of as here. If I do this, I'll be getting, I got to consider the first coefficient value over here, because we already know if I take you back over here, when signal S1 of t is transmitted, when signal S1 of t is transmitted over here, we can, you just see this part of the equation. So here we'll be having S1 into phi1 of t plus S21 phi2 of t. But the thing is, what happens to the other coefficient value here? That component will be equal to 0. And we'll be left out only with S11. So when signal S1 of t is transmitted, we'll be having only this coefficient value. This coefficient value will play a important role, because the other component is anyhow it's equal to 0. So back down here, in place of x1 given symbol 1 was transmitted, I can rewrite it as S11 plus W1, where W1 can be thought of as effect of noise. So this can be thought of as effect of noise. And in turn, this is equal to E of, so anyhow, if we calculate, because we are assuming the noise to be additive white Gaussian noise, AWGN. And this AWGN has a property that if we calculate estimate value or mean of this noise W1, so this is equal to 0. So this is one of the important characteristic of AWGN, additive white Gaussian noise. It has an important property that its mean value is always equal to 0. So keeping that in mind here, because this expected value is a linear operator, if I'm trying to do something like E of S11 plus W1, and in turn I can apply E onto both values, and we know that E of W1 is anyhow equal to 0. So this entire thing is equal to 0. So this is just equal to E of S11. So I'll be getting E of S11 over here. And because this is just a coefficient value, it's just a constant value. And if we are applying estimate to some constant value, I can simply write it as just S11. Likewise, because this X also has, as I said, this X also has the other component X2. Here, I'll be repeating the same drill over here, where I'll be getting the other component. But when we combine these two, and rewrite it for L, when we rewrite it for expected value of L, given 1 was transmitted, here I'll be substituting, because L can be thought of as equal to capital X1 minus capital X2 in terms of random variables. So what we have done is we have done this, and because again expected value is a linear operator, I'll be writing I'll be applying expected value on both the terms. And in turn, we'll be getting it as equal to S11 minus S12. Based on our previous two results, we are directly substituting the value of E, expected value of X1 given, expected value of X1 given 1 was transmitted minus expected value of X2 given 1 was transmitted. Here I'll be substituting these two values directly here. And anyhow, this term is equal to 0. This thing anyhow is equal to 0 when symbol 1 is transmitted. I can substitute this as directly equal to 0, and all will be left out with is S11, whose value is equal to square root of EB, whose value is equal to square root of EB. So it's equal to square root of EB because again of our general expression. So over here, S11 is nothing but equal to this square root of EB, where EB is energy associated with that bit. In a similar way, I can repeat the same drill for, I can again repeat the same drill if symbol 0 was transmitted. If symbol 0 was transmitted, or I can, by now we know that symbol 0 is represented by signal S2 of t. I can repeat the same drill, and in turn here I'll be having coefficient value S21, and here I'll be having coefficient value S22. And if we combine these two things and write it in terms of L, here we'll get S21 minus S22, where we know that this component S21 component will be equal to 0 if symbol 0 is transmitted. Or I can take you back over here just for reference. So here, when this signal S2 of t is transmitted, here you can see that this coefficient value S21 is equal to 0, but whereas we'll be having S22 component. So this is S22 component. So all will be left out with this S22 component. And the value of this S22 is equal to negative square root of EB, negative square root of EB. In a similar way, we can also calculate the variance, and they have directly given the variance as equal to N naught. So after calculating both mean and variance, let's repeat our same rule. So we remember this conditional PDF formula that which follows a Gaussian distribution. Where this sigma square represents variance and mu represents mean value. Now, to this general expression, suppose we know that symbol 0 is transmitted, the conditional probability density function, conditional PDF of the random variable L is equal to. So over here, for a random variable L, but here I cannot make use of random variable directly, but I'll make use of its sample function. So this is L over here. So L given 0 was transmitted. So we are assuming that symbol 0 has been transmitted, and back at the receiver end, receiver end will just concentrate on the difference between x1 and x2, that which is represented by as L. So f of L given 0 was transmitted, I can, in place of this variance, I can substitute N naught. So in place of this variance, I can substitute its value, because just now we have seen that this variance is equal to N naught. So in this portion, I'll be substituting N naught, and in place of mu, that which represents mean, we know that mean. So right now we need to consider it for symbol 0. So back here for symbol 0, given for symbol 0, what did we end up with? So this is the mean value. So I can also call this as mean value when symbol 0 was transmitted. So finally we ended up with it with what? mu as equal to minus square root of EB for symbol 0 being transmitted. So let's make use of this value, mu value down over here. So in place of mu, I'll be substituting negative square root of EB. Negative into negative in turn gets converted to plus. And over here, in place of x, I got to substitute L. So this is not 1, but this is L. Don't get confused. And this is 1. Okay. Due to noise, the received signal point x falls inside the region Z1. So the receiver decides in favor of symbol 1. So it so happens that because we are trying to calculate probability of error, the transmitter is transmitting symbol 0. It's transmitting symbol 0, but due to channel noise, this received point x, or the observed point, I can also call it as observed point, that which is composed of x1 and x2. So let's assume that, let me draw the constellation diagram. So where this is our decision boundary, that which passes through the origin. Now over here, so this is region Z2 and this is region Z1. So region Z1 is for symbol 1 and this is for symbol 0. Now it so happens that because of channel noise, this received point, even though we had transmitted symbol 0, just because of channel noise, so we were expecting our observed point somewhere to fall here ideally, but instead of it falling somewhere here, it's falling somewhere in region Z1. So this causes error. In decoding. So that is what we are trying to state over here. Due to noise, the received signal point x falls inside region Z1. So the receiver decides in favor of symbol 1 because right now the observed point is falling here, that which belongs to region Z1. So, and region Z1 corresponds to symbol 1. So in region Z1, we have x1 always greater than x2, or in other words, difference between x1 and x2 should be greater than 0, or in other words, L greater than 0. So in fact, in order to calculate conditional probability of error, given that symbol 0 was transmitted, we can quote it mathematically as probability of error for symbol 0 being transmitted as equal to probability of L greater than 0 given 0 was transmitted. And this is nothing but equal to conditional PDF that which we had discussed here. So I can substitute this entire thing down over here. And over here, because this looks like a daunting equation, we'll make use of again our previous technique where we'll make use of this substitution method, and we'll assume this thing that which is within this. So we'll also bring in this denominator inside of this square. So if I do so, I'll be getting L plus square root of EB whole divided by square root of 2n0. And I can combine these two and I can put this whole square. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to substitute in place of this entire fractional term over here as equal to some new variable z. So z is in turn equal to L plus square root of EB divided by square root of 2n0. And here, if I differentiate it with respect to z, I'll be getting it as equal to dz in turn equal to dl. So the very first term is dl, but the other term over here, square root of EB is constant. And differentiation of constant value is what? It's equal to 0. So in fact, this term is straight away equal to 0, and we'll be left out with dl divided by square root of 2n0. And I can cross multiply this onto my left hand side, and I can rewrite it for dl. And if I do so, I'll be getting dz into square root of 2n0. And this square root of 2n naught gets cancelled with that of, after substituting it gets cancelled with that of this 2 as well as this n naught. And because we are trying to use substitution method, we got to also change the limits of these limits. And we have a specific reason why we have considered this integration starting from 0 to z1. Why am I considering this limits of integration from 0 to infinity? It's because of this reason. The reason is we are assuming that because of channel noise, the observed point falls in region Z1, and region Z1 spans from 0 to positive infinity. So this region Z1 spans from 0 to positive infinity, because of which the limits are starting from 0 to infinity. So I got to change the limits over here. So earlier we had this integration, this entire integration was with respect to dl. It was with respect to L. So for L equal to lower limit, that which is equal to 0. So back in this equation, if I substitute L as equal to 0, I'll be left out with what? Square root of EB divided by square root of 2n naught. And I can combine these two square roots as a single square root. And I can neglect this part because it's equal to 0. So in fact, over here, Z lower limit will be equal to square root of EB by 2n naught. So that is what we have written in place of right after substitution. We have changed the limits to this value. And in a similar way, the upper limit here in this case was positive infinity, because these are all rudimentary concepts. And I'll be assuming that you'll be knowing all these substitutions as well as changing the limits. So after getting this, again, we'll go for complementary error function of u, and we'll rewrite this above equation as probability of error given 0 was transmitted as equal to half into complementary error function of square root of EB by 2n naught. In a similar way, we can also prove it for symbol 1 being transmitted, and we'll be getting same expression. And in fact, when we take average between these two, we'll end up with the same value, because this is equal to, I can think of this as half, and I can think of this entire complementary error function of this as x, and I can also think of this as some value x. And if I take average between these two, what I'll get? This plus this by 2 over here. And over here, if I take average between these two, so because these two quantities are same in nature, I'll be getting, so I can add these two, and in turn I can add these two such that when I add these two, I'll be getting 2 by 2, and 2 gets cancelled, and still I'll be left out with half into x. So the same thing. So even after taking average probability, we'll be getting the same thing. So this is about this expression corresponds to probability of error. So moving on to the BFSK transmitter part, here we'll make use of on-off level encoder. So this on-off level encoder is nothing but if we are having 0 and 1. For 0, we'll make use of off. And for 1, we'll make use of high. So that's the meaning of on-off level encoder. It can be thought of as something like this. If I'm having message as something like this, for 1 will make use of high, for 0 will be in low level. something like this. Now over here, after using on-off level encoder, we are having two streams over here. We are having two streams such that the upper stream will be transmitting it directly. Will whatever m of t we get, will directly pass it. But whereas for the lower part, we'll make use of an inverter. We'll make use of an inverter. And why are we making use of this inverter? We have a reason for that. First, let's assume that we are having, I'm trying to transmit message bit 1. And this message bit 1, when passes through this on-off level encoder, I'll be getting some m of t. But this 1, when I pass this 1 through this inverter, what I'll be getting here? I'll be getting m prime of t such that it will be equal to 0, because 1 was my first message bit. So I'll be getting 0 over here. Anything multiplied by 0, it's straight away equal to 0. So the output of the lower arm is equal to 0. But whereas here I'll be getting 1. And when this multiplies with this basis function, I'll be getting only this part. In a similar way, when my message bit is equal to 0, the upper arm output will be equal to 0. The upper arm output will be equal to 0, because we are straight away reading message signal as it is. But when this 0 passes through this inverter, here it changes to 1. And each bit over here is associated with what energy? It's associated with an energy equal to square root of EB. So it so happens that square root of EB gets multiplied with this. And in fact, here we'll be getting 2 into E. So this is all under this whole square root. EB cos 2 pi f2t. So for 0, what frequency is associated with? It's associated with f2 frequency value. And for bit 1, it's associated with f1 frequency value. So just by using this inverter, we are making sure that both the frequency values are being transmitted. So that's the reason why we have made use of an inverter over here. So let me end this session right over here. So if you have not typed present in the chat, please do type present in the chat. We'll meet in our next class.